What is going on, guys? I hope you're all well. We've got a good video to go through. A couple of days ago, there's been a speech said at the Reform Party. Now, the person that we are going to watch is probably one of the most elite people to ever walk the face of the earth. Never mind the UK, the face of the earth. An absolute elite warrior, right? Now, when I've spoke to people, right, about, say, the military and the government, I've said that this person should have been the Prime Minister because he completely changed this country. But instead of him being Prime Minister, he is working his way to inputting value back into the British culture, the British population, the British government, right? So, without further ado, is that the right word? Further ado? Either way, we're going to take a look at this video. Yes, I'm going to stop and start it to put some points in, but let's get forwards and watch the video.
Do not worry, I'm not here to thrash the living daylights out of you. A lot of you are probably thinking, what the hell is Ant Middleton doing here at the Reform Conference? Well, what do I know about politics? I know enough about modern day politics to realise that it's not working here in the UK. Hence, the solution is in the title, reform. Political reform is definitely needed. And it doesn't take the brains of Elon Musk to realise that. What do I know? Now, I do know about national security. I do know about safety. I do know about personal safety. I do know about community. I do know about teamwork. I do know about coming together. I do know about identity. Identity being key here. Identity gives us purpose, it gives us drive, it gives us ambition. It gives us a one-dimensional goal to work towards. Identity being key. I do know about trust. Trusting each other to get something done. And I do know about unity. A coming together of a unit, of a team, of a country to make sure that we are secure and safe. That I do know about. I'm not here to speak about politics. I'll leave that to the politicians. But listen, what I do know is national security, and that's what we're going to touch on very first and foremost. Now, when I spoke to Nigel and the wider team a couple of years ago, for those that don't know, I do a TV show called SAS, Who Dares Wins, where I bring in broken people and I strip them down so they can identify who they are, so they have an identity, and then I build them back up to go out into the world and to achieve. And I got asked a question by Nigel and his wider team saying, could you do that with a broken country? How do you do that? And we went through how I broke people down. I said it's quite simple. Now what I do with individuals, I bring them into a camp. I close those gates. Let's call it the border. I close the gates and I make sure that no one comes in unless they benefit the environment. Okay? Super important. If they benefit the environment, they can come in. 2, if they benefit the individuals in my camp, i.e. the countrymen and women. If they benefit them, you can come in. Also, if they adhere to the rules and regulations of my camp. And when I started to break it down, I was like, wow, actually, if we go back to the bare basics, if we strip it all back down, there's super similarities here. It's not too dissimilar. Yes, it's a lot more complicated, but it's not too dissimilar. Now, the moment those gates are closed, hopefully that individual feels safe. Super important, because safety then trickles into trust. If you feel safe around someone, you can start to trust someone. If you feel safe in a community, you can start to trust that community. If you feel safe in a country, you can start to trust that country.
And I think that's a major thing that we've got to understand at the moment is so many of us don't feel safe in this country, right? You've got a bunch of, you've got millions of people coming in that you don't know who they are, you don't know where necessarily they're from, you don't know what they got up to when they were over there, right? You don't know what they're capable of. Now, the reason why I'm so proud of this man for actually standing up is because there's probably not a country, right? Not a bit of soil that this man has not stepped on with his boots and with a rifle, right? And he sees the chaos of what these people that are coming over here have gotten up to over there. He knows what they're capable of because he's seen it. He's been in firefights with them, right? He knows the ins and outs. And this is why we need to listen to what he's saying.
So I looked at the bigger picture, which is i.e. this country that I've fought for, that I've had the privilege of operating at the very highest level. Thank you. With multiple agencies, whether that's intelligence agencies, different special forces, I have seen a topographical view of how the country works. And the key thing is the safety behind it. So I know how it works. I know what needs to be done. And when I look at the borders, I'm almost disgusted that our Royal Navy, the best Navy in the world, no shadow of a doubt, we have the best Navy in the world, are being put on the back burner, not allowed to do their jobs. Not being allowed to do their jobs. Double standards, call it two-tier, whatever you want to call it, double standards.
So, we've got a British Army, we've got a Royal Navy, right? The whole purpose of both of them are to protect the public of this island, right? To protect this island as a whole. And yet you're telling me that our Royal Navy can't stop some blow-up boats that are bringing however many hundreds of people at a time that are coming to cause chaos in this country. You're telling me that our own Royal Navy is capable of fighting off the Russians, the Koreans, all of these different high powerful militaries, but yet they can't stop some inflatable boats. So who is it that isn't allowing our Royal Navy to do their job? Is it the people that are in power, that are taking all of our money and giving it to all the friends? We know Boris did it. We know Rishi's doing it. Did it. We know Keir's probably doing it. So all of our hard-earned money is going to them for them to live a good life while we suffer.
Not allowed to do their job. Wow. The best Navy in the world aren't allowed to do their job, i.e. protect our waters. So, of course, I haven't got a secure camp. We haven't got a secure camp because we don't know who's coming in. They're certainly not benefiting the environment. They're certainly not adhering to the rules and regulations. And they're certainly not benefiting us as a nation. Now, interpret that as you will, okay? Let's say that's the border, okay? I don't want to get in too much trouble and be cancelled again. So let's just say that that's the border. My little camp is the border. Now, what do I do once I've secured my camp? They feel safe. I make sure that people are safe, and I start stripping them down. Okay? Broken people come to me, I strip them down, and I make them realise what they're capable of. I make them identify their true selves, who they really are. I give them an identity. Whew. What's British identity? British culture. What's British culture? British history. Okay? So why is that being eradicated? Why is that being trampled all over? Why aren't we allowed to be the umbrella culture of this country? And And it's very, very simple. If I hear someone say once more, what is British culture, scones and tea, I'm going to throttle them. No, I'm not going to kill anyone, don't worry. But British culture is British history. British history is born, this country is born on the values of Christianity. Those values have worked for years, centuries and centuries to get us where we are today. The moment we lose our identity, guess what we lose? Our purpose, our focus, our direction. What happens when we don't have an identity? We get confused. Number one, when I left the military, lost my identity, I got confused. When you have a nation of confused people, guess what happens after? Frustration. You get frustrated. Like the individual, very much like the individual. What happens after frustration? Anger. Anger, violence. Violence. What's happening on our streets right now? Violence. We are at a very, very important and crucial stage before it teeters into civil unrest, which we want to avoid at all costs. But it's coming. We are on that edge where violence has hit the streets. We've all seen it. I don't need to mention what it is. We've all seen it. And it might not happen in your community, but it's happening, majority. You go outside of London, it's happening outside, even on the borders, even in London itself. You look at the knife crime. I know Anne mentioned it before. Knife crime, gun crime. Wow. Talk about that second layer of security, which is the community, non-existent. Do you know why? Because we've got a non-existent security on the borders. So what's it doing? It's filtering in right into the centre of our communities. Like I said, the next step is going to be a lot worse unless we get a grip of it right now. We need to revert back to the basics. Let's strip everything down, back to the basics. Identity. We need the umbrella identity of British culture. British culture needs to be at the forefront of everything. By all means, come in, practice your culture. We are accepting, by all means, but we need an umbrella culture. We need that identity, because then we have our rules and regulations, which everyone needs to adhere to. Okay? That way, it stops double standards. And what does double standards create? Again, this is military tactics 101. What does that create? It creates division. Double standards creates division. Okay? That is apparent all over the UK. We are so divided, therefore so controlled. Divided to a point where that circle before used to cross over, and we used to be in that realm of common sense, of making sure that our military is secure, making sure that our police force is up to scratch, up to standard. My 7-year-old son could pass the entrance test for the police force. I could do it backwards, I promise you. I promise you. And having these people in these high locations, in this hierarchical structure that I know, they're telling me firsthand. I'm not making this stuff up. They're telling me firsthand. And therefore, that's what we need to secure. The 3 rings of security. The country, our community, then personal security, personal safety. Personal safety is paramount. And when that happens, again, taking that from an individual to a country, when that happens, trust starts to kick in. You start to trust people, you start to trust the people around you, you start to trust the community, you start to trust the country. And that's what we need to re-establish. We need to re-establish trust and unity within this country. And it's easily done. People say it's a lot more complicated than that. No, it's not. They like to think, they like to tell you that it is, because they're using military tactics of distraction. They distract you with all the irrelevant stuff, with all the virtual signalling, taking it away from the bigger problems, which we don't want to tackle, because they are complicated. The borders is a complicated thing, but they don't want to tackle it because it's so complicated. So what do? They distract you. They control you through division. That distraction method is absolutely evident. And when they distract you, they can control you. And when they can control you, guess what? we fall into chaos, and that's exactly what's happening now. We haven't got time. We haven't got time for this to happen.
And how are they actually going about distracting us? Media, right? Everything that you're watching on the telly, the news, Coronation Street, Emmerdale, all of this rubbish that's on every single night, and some of yous are religiously watching. Because it's just a massive distraction. Andrew Tate said it best, right? And it was his dad that actually told him this. I allow manipulation to find out where my enemy wants me to go. Then I use my mind to break the trap and punish the perpetrators. So what his dad would say was the reason why he would watch the news was to then judge and see where they're trying to push him, what agenda they're trying to push, right? Some of yous, the majority of yous, are watching the news and thinking that yous are informed. Now, if you watch the news, you're misinformed. If you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. So where's the break in the middle? Where's that line of going, right, this is wrong what they're saying. This is the way it should have been. But how many of yous are just watching it and then becoming part of that agenda? Believing in what the media is telling you is right and what's wrong. When we all had common sense before 2020, people had common sense. And then as soon as 2020 came and you were locked in your house every day and you were sat watching the telly every day, watching the news, listening to what they say because you believe the government is there to protect you and to help you. That's far from the truth. Far from the truth.
We need those 3 rings of security. Our military needs to be priority. Our military was once the best military in the world, and I still believe they're there right now. I do.
They are there, but there's a lot of things that need to change within the military. So many things. And I said that this man should be there to sort the military out himself, right? He needs to take control, right? You've got people who are fat in the army that can't even do runs, right? I was personally in the army with those people that would collapse, like not literally collapse, but would get off the run, would get off a run or get off a tab because they were too overweight. They were just lazy. And it's not just my section of the army. There's a vast majority of the army where people are just broken and useless and are in the army because it's an easy life. The army's such an easy life, honestly. You don't understand how easy the army is, but it's not a job, it's a lifestyle, right? But so many people are in the army just for the sake of, because they can't think with their own mind. They can't think with their own mind, so then they'll rather just be in somewhere that's going to tell them what to do. But then the army is being told what to do by the government that isn't benefiting this country. It's the same with the police, the same with the ambulance service. All of these sections of security and protection that are in place aren't being told to protect us, and it's wrong.
Our police force, exactly the same. The standards need to be risen again. The standards have dropped so badly that, of course, you've got double standards. And then again, double standards creates division. Of course, you've got two minds going either way. We need to fortify our police force, and we need to bring the standards back up.
Even looking at some of the police, when you see some of the police officers, you look at them and you go, what on earth would you do if it kicked off? Because there's nothing that they would do. The only thing that they've got protecting them is the fact of that they're in a bright yellow high-vis that says police. So people are going, ooh, I can't do that with there. But the Manchester situation proved the point. You remember when those 3 police officers got punched around off those foreign lads? Do you think they're bothered that they've got police on them? No. The only ones that actually are a little bit intimidated by the word police and those big yellow high visors are the British. The foreigners that are coming over here couldn't care less. What are you going to do? Send them back home and they'll go back home and live a normal life again.
And for me, the most important thing for unity and for everyone to be singing off the same song sheet is our culture. The culture of our beloved country. The history that we fought for to be here today. Phenomenal, I know it very well. I know it very well. Yes, we are accepting. Yes, we will bring everyone under that umbrella. Adhere to our rules and regulations. Respect our culture. You can come in and play. And I'm gonna...
Just before we go any further with that, right? When some of you might watch this and go, "Oh, we don't want these people in here," though, he's not necessarily saying all of the immigrants, right? Yes, you're gonna have people that practice their Islamic faith, same with Judaism, right? And you're gonna go, "No, we don't need these people," right? But you've got the Nepalese that fight for the British Army. You've got the Fijians that fight for the British Army. There's other cultures that are coming in that actually do provide a benefit to this country. So you can't just say, right, we're only going to be a Christian nation and then that's going to be it. Because we do welcome other people in, as long as, like he says, you listen and adhere to our rules and regulations. If you don't like what we do and you don't like how we do it, then go do it somewhere else. That's what needs to be put in place. It's like the wall. Yous are on that side. This is what we stand by. Yous aren't coming over this wall. You stay there and yous do what we say to yous to do.
Here, along with Nigel, not necessarily on a political standpoint, but on a structural standpoint, I know what we need to establish. And again, reverting back to the basics. What are the foundations of our country? What's holding this country up? Because the pillars, identity, that's crumbling. Safety, that's more or less gone. Unity, that's the whole platform's over now. Community, safety, those pillars are just non-existent. So the right political party, i.e. Nigel and his team and Reform, need your help to make sure that the next political party that we do is Reform. The next party that gets in is Reform. We have 4 years to make that happen.
And it's not necessarily just saying we've got 4 years until that happens, right? One thing that you also need to understand is we've now got 4 years of chaos, right? 4 years of chaos. All of this rubbish that's going on down south, right? The border, the knife crime, all of the gun shootings, the violence, all of this stuff is going to continue for the next 4 years. 4 years. And some of yous will go, no, I don't want to vote because of this, and this, right? The reason why we're in this position now is because a lot of yous didn't vote. Now, I know that people are in that position where they go, it doesn't matter if I vote or if I don't vote because there's still somebody above them that's telling them what to do. I understand there's that possibility. But if yous don't vote and yous don't stand against the problems and stand with this country, then the problems that are going on in this country are going to continue. We've got to come together, right? As a community, right? Your villages have got to come together, right? The North, the South, England, Ireland, Wales, all of us, Scotland, we've all got to come together, right? We're not the problem. I'm not going to fight with a Scottish man or a Welsh man or a British man or whoever it may be, right? Because we've got to come to the agreement that we're all of us, right? Even though we've had our problems before, the problems aren't there right now. We've got to just drop all of them problems. We've got to understand that we're here to protect our own. And it's me protecting you and you protecting me and us protecting our families and friends and other people that want to actually come in and benefit this country.
Two years to Scotland, listen, I love the jocks, don't worry about that. I love the jocks. And again, this is for another talk and another brief, but coming together. I talk about unity. Again, Scotland, Wales, Ireland. What's happening there? Let's come together. That is what we're here for. Look at the flag. Now, before I leave you, do not be put off with the distraction methods. Do not be fooled. Do not let them divide us, okay? Because the moment we're divided, well, guess what? Military saying we're conquered. And we're very, very close to allowing that to happen, okay? What I want to do over the next 4 years is help Nigel and his team get them ready for that next political push, which is hopefully... Yes, there you go. I will sort the military out myself. Don't worry about that.
It's not just me that sees that needs to be done. The military needs sorting out. There's so much bullshit going on in the army that you can't even comprehend. Some, like, they're laughing at us. The world is laughing at us. And it's not even just a little laugh. It's a Conor McGregor laughing at Eddie Alvarez type of laugh.
I was gonna negotiate the money. Because this guy's easy. It's easy money. Easy money.
But on a serious note and leaving you, we're in critical times right now. And I dip in and out, I travel so much. And when I look back in, I am extremely concerned for the beloved country that I fought so hard for. That World War I, World War II gave us our freedom, and we continue to do so. We must maintain the integrity of this country. And I will be here, dipping in and out during these next few years with Nigel and the team, and hopefully become a more of a constant when we finally get into power. Up the reform. Thank you so much. Remember, identity first. Identity first. Thank you.
So there we have it. The most elite, or one of the most elite people to ever walk the face of the earth, is now backing reform and protection of this country, right? And if you're going to sit there and go, oh, he's not the right person to have and all this, then you really need to take a long, hard look at your life and what you're actually agreeing to happen, right? This man is the best opportunity that this country's got. We cannot have another 4 years of what's about to go down, right? We've had, what's that, 4, 8, right? So we've had 8 years. Is it 8 years? When did Boris come in? Either way, right? Boris was in for 4 years. Was Rishi in for 4 years? Either way, right? You know what I'm trying to say. We've now got the next 4 years of chaos. So what does that what do we need to do to change that, right? First of all, you've got to stop going against your own, right? We've got to protect our own. You cannot be selfish in these times. One, we've got the winter fuel problem for the elderly. The elderly are going to have to be looked after, right? People are going to have to start getting fitter and stronger. Stop going out on the drink. Stop taking all of the coke and all the other shitty chemicals that you're putting in your body just so you can have a good night out on a Friday and a Saturday. Losers. A lot of yous. Losers. What are you gaining from that? You work Monday to Friday, to go out Friday and Saturday, to be hungover on a Sunday, to go back to work on a Monday, to do the same shit every week, to do it all again. Absolute waste of time. What, you're going to go sit home and watch the Netflix with your girl and just think that all of this is going to blow over? You have no purpose. You need to find your purpose. You've got to come together. You've got to agree that we are now in a time where we have got to stand together and say, we don't want what yous are allowing. We don't want these people in our country. We want our country to be safe. All of yous that are in these positions where you're seeing all this stuff, instead of standing there with your phone recording just to get a few likes when you put it on Twitter or Facebook or all this stuff, why don't the group of yous that are stood watching this chaos go in and do something about it? Yes, there's a man with a knife. Yes, there's a man with a machete. Sometimes there's only one of them. Sometimes there's a group of them. We've got to start standing together to protect our own. Our grandparents that fought in World War One and World War Two would be ashamed at what they're seeing. Not necessarily the problem with all them coming over, but the fact of that they went to war to fight for the safety and the protection of this country. And what are our own people doing now? Stood there with the phones out. Ooh. Like that. Oh, I'll quickly get this video there. Ooh, you stabbed him. Right, save that video. Right, let them crack on. I'll go my other way. Yous are pathetic, man. Yous are absolutely pathetic. Yous need to sort your shit out. Stand together. Stand up. Stop listening and believe in everything that you're seeing on ITV, BBC, Channel 4, Channel 5, all of these different news channels. Stop listening to what they're saying because they don't care about you. They don't care about you. They don't care about me or your family or your friends or anybody. Like he's just said there, it's like a magician. While a magician's doing something over here and you're distracted with this, something else is going on over here that you're not seeing because you're distracted by this problem. You just need to sort your shit out, man. We all need to. I'm not going to say that I'm in the boat where everything's perfect and this, that and the other. It's not. But we've got to come together as a country. You've got to find friends. You've got to find other people that are willing to stand up and fight. Other people that are willing to stand against what the agenda that they're pushing. But we've got to do it. And we've got 4 years to get it done. Don't just sit there, right, when the next... Yes, I know my views probably has changed. I had a problem with me camera. Anyway, what I was about to say was, don't just sit there, right, when the next voting time comes and go, I'm not going to vote because I don't want to be a part of it, because I don't believe it's going to work and this, that and the other. You've got to have faith in people that are actually willing to stand up. You cannot just leave Ant to do it all himself. We've got to stand together and actually go, right, I'm proud to be British. I'm proud of this country. There's nowhere else to go. All of, like, you know, when you're seeing all these people on social media going, oh, come over to Poland or come over to Germany or come over to Dubai and all these places, right? They're still got all the problems going on. All of these problems that we're seeing right now are still going on in America, in Spain, in France, in Germany, in Poland, in Finland, in Switzerland. All these different places are still going to have these problems that are going to arise. You cannot just go, nah, I'm going to get up and go and leave everybody else in that, because what has this country done for me? How many times have you been to the hospital? How many times have you broke your arm, broke your leg, broke your neck? How many times have you needed your teeth doing? You know what I mean? The country has done things for you, but now you want to play the victim and go, oh no, the country's against us. The country's not against you, right? The people that are in power are against you. So we've got to make a change. We've got to stand up. We've got to do something. We've got to sort it out, right? Sort your shit. Lose weight. Stop being obese. Stop being lazy. And just fucking sort your shit out. We've got 4 years now. 4 years to make a change. And it's only us that are going to be able to change it. The ones that are actually speaking out about it. The ones that are willing to stand up and do something. Think about it, right? Reevaluate your life. Reevaluate everything that you're doing. Stop drinking. Stop taking drugs. Stop fucking looking for women just to have a one-nighter with and that to send on away to go out on the next weekend to get another one. These are fucking losers, man. Honestly. Anyway. God bless you all. Have yourselves a good day. And we'll see where we go with the next one.